Interesting facts about Fiji. Fiji is an island nation in Melanesia, a region of Oceania in the South Pacific Ocean. Austronesian peoples first inhabited Fiji around 3500 BC, with Melanesians arriving around 1,000 years later. Many aspects of Fijian culture were either suppressed or changed after European settlers first arrived. Abel Tasman was the first known European to reach Fiji in 1643, but it wasn't until William Bligh surveyed and plotted the islands that this happened. The strait between the main two islands, known as Blywater, now bears his name. The earliest significant European contacts with the Fijians were made by dealers in sea cucumbers, bêche de mer, and sandalwood. The Ann and Hope made the first known whaling ship visit in 1799. Some European immigrants were welcomed by the indigenous people and given permission to settle there. Christian missionaries arrived from recently converted nations like Tonga and Tahiti in the 1830s. Captain Charles Wilkes of the U.S. Exploring Expedition witnessed the Fijians' progressive conversion to Christianity. Between 57 and 87 Malalas perished in a punitive expedition against them. Saru Upeneza Thakambau of Bow Island was able to become a powerful influence in the region. His father was Ratu Tanoavizawaka the Vunivalu, a chiefly title meaning warlord. The Tongan prince Anel Mafu had established himself on the island of Lakeba. These chiefs were defeated in 1855, with Koronikio being poisoned and Ratu Mara being hanged. The first laborers from the New Hebrides and Solomon Islands were brought to Fiji to work on cotton plantations. The majority of Melanesians were lured onto ships using false pretenses, generally in exchange for presents, and then imprisoned. The 1871 voyage of the brig Carl, planned by Dr. James Patrick Murray to find laborers to work in the Fijian plantations, was a notorious instance of the blackbirding trade. The Viti Levu Hill tribes were similarly taken to Levuka and sold into slavery during the Kai Kolo battles. Thakambau's government faced issues of legitimacy and economic viability. The colony of Fiji was founded, and 96 years of British rule followed. Sir Hercules Robinson, soon to be appointed the British governor of Fiji, arrived on HMS Dido from Tahiti in 1872. Measles epidemic of 1875. This was despite the British having extensive knowledge of infectious disease in an unexposed population. In 1875-76, the resulting epidemic of measles killed over 40,000 Fijian people. Sir Arthur Hamilton Gordon's Viti Levu campaign was the suppression of an insurgency by the Kalamari and Kai Kolo people. It involved the use of the old native regiment of Thakambau, supported by 1,500 Christian volunteers. The campaign was conducted under a scorched earth policy, with rebel villages burned and fields ransacked. Remaining insurgents were sent into exile with hard labor for up to 10 years. World War I and II. Fiji was chosen as a training base for the Allies during World War I because of its central location, and many Fijians volunteered to fight against the Germans. One Fijian of chiefly rank joined the French Foreign Legion and received France's highest military decoration, the Croix de Guerre. Indo-Fijians, led by A.D. Patel, demanded the introduction of full self-government with a fully elected legislature to be elected by universal suffrage on a common voters' roll. These demands were vigorously rejected by the ethnic Fijian delegation, which still feared losing control over natively owned land and resources. A series of compromises led to the establishment of a cabinet system of government in 1967, with Ratu Kamasis Mara as the first chief minister. The British made it clear, however, that they were determined to bring Fiji to self-governance and eventual independence. The British granted Fiji independence in 1970. Democratic rule was interrupted by two military coups in 1987, precipitated by a growing perception that the government was dominated by the Indo-Fijian Indian community. The second coup saw both the Fijian monarchy and the governor-general replaced by a non-executive president, and the name of the country changed from the Dominion of Fiji to the Republic of Fiji. In 2000, a coup was instigated by George Speight, which effectively toppled the government of Mahendra Chaudhry. Commodore Frank Bainimarama assumed executive power after the resignation of President Ratu Sir Kamasis Mara. In 2001, to restore democracy, a general election was held, which was won by interim Prime Minister Laisinya Karsa's Sokasako Duavata ni Luanivadoa party. Bainimarama staged a military takeover on December 5, 2006, against the Prime Minister that he had installed after a 2000 coup. The Commodore took over the powers of the presidency and dissolved the parliament, paving the way for the military to continue the takeover. On January 4, 2007, the military announced that it was restoring executive power to Iloilo, who made a broadcast endorsing the actions of the military. In April 2009, the Fiji Court of Appeal overturned the High Court's decision that Bainimarama's takeover of Karsa's government was lawful and declared the interim government to be illegal. In May 2009, Fiji became the first nation ever to have been suspended from participation in the Pacific Islands Forum for its failure to hold democratic elections by the date promised. The Fiji First Party, led by Prime Minister Frank Bainimarama, won an outright majority in the country's 51-seat parliament both in the 2014 election and narrowly in the 2018 election. In October 2021, Tui Makwata William Katonivir was elected the new president of Fiji by the parliament. Fiji was suspended from Commonwealth membership in March 2014, but was allowed to participate in a number of Commonwealth activities, including the 2014 Commonwealth Games. Fiji's indigenous culture and traditions are very vibrant and integral components of everyday life for the majority of Fiji's population. The introduction of Indian and Chinese traditions, as well as significant influences from Europe and Fiji's Pacific neighbors, have created a unique multicultural national identity. Fiji's culture was showcased at the World Exposition held in Vancouver, Canada, in 1986, and more recently at the Shanghai World Expo 2010.